Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Halloween version of StudentLoanJustice.org. Mwahahaha. Hey, what's happening, folks? Sorry about that. I know it's stupid, but happy Halloween, everybody. It's full moon. Scary night. Good night to be talking about a very scary topic, and that is student loans. But actually, to tell you the truth, it's not that scary because the fact of the matter is we own this lending system. We are 44 million federal student loan borrowers, plus another 10 million private student loan borrowers and cosigners. So that's 55 million people that are on our side. That's enough nearly to elect a president outright. And I am here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that this student loan system is failed, catastrophically failed. Even before the coronavirus, 80% of all student loan borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans. They were either in delinquency, default, deferment, forbearance, otherwise unable to pay. That's like 63%. Or maybe 17% or so were able to pay, and they paid and paid and paid, but their balance was going up. Not down, up. So, we also know, by the way, that the default rate for 2004 students is 40%. And the class of 2004 was only borrowing about 1/3 of what students are borrowing today for college. So, the default rate of subprime home mortgage loans was less than 20%. It was like 17%. So of everybody walking around today, my best guess, and nobody knows, but a good guess would be that something like 65, 70, maybe 75% of everybody with student loans today, all things being equal, are going to default on their loans. So what I'm telling you is that by every reasonable metric or measure, the federal student loan system in this country, in fact, the entire student loan system, federal and private, is catastrophically failed. So we've been around for 15 years now. We were fighting very moderately only for the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. And for 15 years, we worked and fought and traveled the country and did research and wrote books and did mass collective actions. We protested at Trump Tower and at the White House and in front of Congress. And we did many, 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 many other things. It has been a long 15 years. And I'm here to tell you that it is too late to return bankruptcy protections to student loans. It just is. At this point, that would only result in 15, 20, 25 million people being forced into bankruptcy. And sorry, guys, but that's just not going to happen. That's not realistic. On an average year, not even 1 million U.S. citizens file for bankruptcy for any reason. So, yeah, bankruptcy is too late. These loans have got to go. This lending system is dead. It's toast. Put a fork in it. This coronavirus was the nail in the coffin. So the people who should be scared, not us, it's the lending system. And frankly, I would say that they are petrified right now because they know if they end the current student loan repayment moratorium, nobody's going to pay. This lending system is vanishing into a mist of illegitimacy as we speak. But folks, this could have and should have a good ending. It could also have a bad ending. I don't want to talk about the bad ending. Suffice it to say, it would be bad. We don't want the bad ending. There's no reason for that. We're a better country. We're a better nation than that. We want the good ending. And what the good ending is canceling these loans. Some people call it forgiving. I don't call it forgiving because we didn't do anything wrong. This is not a bad borrower lending problem. This is a bad lender lending scam. The founding fathers are on our side, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Robert Morris, many of the other founders were themselves being savaged under debt, predatory debt to British banks, British merchants, friends of the king, etc. So, when they ratified the Constitution, they called for uniform bankruptcy laws ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army and build a navy and coin currency and create a judiciary. That's how important the Founding Fathers felt that having bankruptcy protections for the citizens was. Well, that is exactly and uniquely what has been stripped from student loans. In other words, every loan in this country has basically the same standard bankruptcy laws behind it. Only student loans have been uniquely stripped of this protection. That puts us in the same class with criminals and deadbeat dads and others. And folks, get over that. We're not criminals. We're not bad people. In fact, I would say the citizens are probably, as a whole, probably a little more responsible today than they were, say, back in the 70s, when bankruptcy was the same for student loans as it was for all other loans. We haven't changed much. I'd say we're probably, as I said, probably a little more responsible today than we were before. What has changed is the lending system. The lending system was unconstitutionally stripped of not just bankruptcy protections, but also statutes of limitations, truth in lending laws, state usury laws do not apply to federal student loans, fair debt collection laws taken away from federal student loans. So folks, it's not us. It's the lending system. Not a bad borrower problem, bad lending system. Catastrophically failed lending system. And the bad people know this. The people who orchestrated this and perpetuated this lending scam, they know it's failed. And frankly, I don't think they know what to do. So that's where we come in, folks. Now, let me just say, Congress can do nothing for us. They have proven that they are unwilling and unable to pass a law that cancels student loans. We've got any number of loan cancellation programs already in place. They're all abysmal failures where nobody's getting their loans canceled for all intents and purposes. And not only that, Congress, they say that in order to cancel loans, they have to raise money to pay for it. Pay for it. That's nonsense. 85% of all student loans are owned directly by the federal government. The taxpayer, in other words, already paid for these loans. And they didn't pay much, by the way. Of the $1.5 trillion outstanding, the amount of unpaid original principal of that is, nobody knows, but it's certainly less than a third. If it's even like $350 billion, that would be maybe about right. Could be less. Could be zero. You know, the federal government has been making an obscene profit on this lending system since roughly 2010, when the lending system was federalized. But, you know, even before then, the federal government was seeing a net return on student loans. Certainly for defaulted student loans, back then and even still today, the government, it turns out, is getting back more than it pays out for defaulted loans. Speaking of disgusting, that is a defining hallmark of a predatory lending system. So folks, we don't have to take this. This lending system is done. It's toast. The good outcome is not through Congress. The good outcome is through the president, whether this one or the next. The president has all the executive authority needed to cancel certainly all federally owned student loans by executive order. The president can do this without needing one dime of tax money from Congress, without needing congressional approval, and without adding one penny to the national debt. You know, there is no better, no more obvious way to stimulate the economy. Quite frankly, I think it's, in my view, it is a travesty. It is a massive injustice. It is astonishing that canceling these loans wasn't the first thing that the government did in response to this pandemic crisis we find ourselves in. PPP loans, what, $500 billion, trillion PPP loans? Those don't have to be paid back, also, by the way. And those all added to the national debt. Those all cost the taxpayers. canceling student loans would cost the taxpayers nothing additional. In fact, as I said, stepping back, the taxpayer may be breaking even on these loans were they canceled tomorrow. So, hey folks, we don't have to put up with this. We are the only group in the country who's truly fighting this fight. There's all kinds of groups saying, yeah, Congress, cancel loans. Never going to happen. Those people are full of nonsense. This group right here has the only working, feasible idea, concept, strategy for getting rid of these loans, and that is by executive order. And to our credit, Congress is finally taking notice. In fact, for the past year, we were the lone voice in the wilderness calling for loan cancellation by executive order. But I'm happy to tell you that leading senators, including Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, and others, have, I'm not going to say stolen, but I'm going to say maybe appropriated our call. And 4 or 5 weeks ago, the Senate introduced a resolution calling for the president to cancel student loans by executive order. Now, that Senate resolution was crap. They said, oh, Mr. President, please cancel up to $50,000 in student loans. So it's nonsense. But, just them doing that proves that this group, is way ahead of the curve. So, and by the way, if you're new to the group, welcome. We're glad that you found us. This group is it. This group is where the solution to this problem lies and where it is going to come from. So we're very glad that you joined us. Please Google us. As I said, we've been around for 15 years now. We've been featured on 60 Minutes, Top Story, and the New York Times, and Vice News, and many, many, many other places. Most recently, during this election season, we've been featured on, Fox News, Yahoo News, CNBC, Vice News, Coast to Coast AM radio, Newsweek, Rolling Stone, Wall Street Journal, many, 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 many other places. Suffice it to say, we know what we're doing, we know what we're talking about, and it is time to cancel all federally owned student loans by executive order, whether this president or the next, whether between now and the election, which is looking increasingly unlikely, seems how we only have 3 days, whether between now and the end of the year and what could be President Trump's lame duck term, or maybe not, who knows, or in the coming 6 months. A lot depends on how hard we, me and you, like everybody in this group right here, fights. Now, we are in a great position, folks. We've never been in a better position to get these loans gone. At this point, to me, it seems like almost a foregone conclusion. But we have to fight because, as I said, this could have a bad ending. The people who orchestrated this lending scam against us, they're very smart, they're very wealthy, they're very well-resourced. And they will do probably, if history is any guide to future behavior, they will try very hard to string this failed lending system along for just a few more years. And we can't let that happen, folks. We cannot let that happen. We are a better country than that. And remember, all of the power resides with us. That $1.5 trillion in outstanding student loan debt, that has to come from us, ultimately. So, we control the purse strings over this lending program. Now, as I said, the good outcome is a presidential executive order that cancels these loans. Really, nothing else will suffice. This lending system is a national threat and it's a national danger. And it is for the good of the country that this lending system has to go away. So, we're in a good spot, folks. And by the way, to those of you who helped, particularly during this campaign season over the past year, thank you. I salute you, and I hope that you are very impressed what we as a group have been able to get done. But folks, I'm here to tell you we have got to go that last mile. We've got to. We've come this far. It's time to put the hammer down and end this. So let's go, folks. Let's roll. Get ready. No matter who gets elected president, we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the 44 million distressed student loan voters in the country who may not know about us. In fact, do not know about us. We owe it to them to make them aware of us so that they can come and join us and help us. But, we collectively owe it to the tens or hundreds of millions of citizens who are going to follow in our footsteps to not leave them with this indefensible, nationally threatening, nationally damaging and destabilizing, predatory, unconstitutional, did I already say that, lending system. We're a better citizenry than that. So I hope that you're buoyed by what we have been able to get done. I hope that you are getting ready, at least mentally ready, to help us fight. Don't flee, fight, because this is your problem. This is your fight. These are your loans. And we have a massive muscle to flex, folks. We are becoming an unstoppable force, but you have got to help. So just please keep that in mind. And with that, I think I will leave it there. But I will just say, keep checking back on this group, folks, particularly after the election. Like the day after the election, we would like to hit the ground running. And oh, by the way, to that end, if you could donate at this time, if you wish to see this group continue to fulfill our mission, complete our mission of getting these loans gone, please make a donation. We don't require much funding at all to survive, fight, and win this battle, but we can't do it on nothing, and that is just a fact. So we've made it this far. Please show your support with a moderate or not so moderate financial contribution. Whatever you can do is great. But beyond that, remember, your actions, your actual actions to help us fight this battle are way more valuable than any money you might donate. So just keep that in mind. Get ready to fight. And I hope you're looking forward to this next phase of the end of this lending system. So be optimistic, be positive, don't be scared. The other side should be scared, and take that to heart. So good luck, good night, Godspeed, and God bless everybody.